Welcome to Pitch the Professor, the sports betting show hosted by a former statistics professor. Jake, we are back here for college basketball for Tuesday, December 9th. We debated the show here for Monday, but there were, I think, 7 games, and none of them were very good. So we are recording this on Monday while there's almost no basketball actually happening to talk about some of the Tuesday games. Decent little slate here, small slate, but some decent games to look for.
Yeah, I mean, it's this time of year with finals and all that and Christmas break coming on, you get some weird scheduling. You get some smaller slates and you get terrible slates like you have tonight. And then you've got a very good slate, just very thin for Tuesday. So it should be a ton of fun to get into.
Yep. Just off the top here, everyone, apologies for being gone for 2 weeks here. I mentioned this on our previous show. I really thought we would be able to do a little bit of a job getting a show or two in. Unfortunately, that didn't work. I should have posted on social media or done something, but it was because we were down in Austin with an intensive therapy program for our 2-year-old Hudson, who, as many of you know, has an ultra rare genetic condition. That went really well. He's making a lot of progress there. We're working on getting him to, stand and walk and do all those things that he should, be doing at this point since he's almost 2. So it was really good, but it was a lot of travel, a lot of back and forth, and a lot of the places we were at weren't really conducive to recording, and then Hudson was always around. So then it was like, how am I going to record without him screaming in the middle of the show or something? So it was just kind of more difficult than I realized. So apologies for no content here for you for the last 2 weeks, but we had content every day for the last 2 weeks over on Patreon, both for college football, where we've had some more good weeks, of course, and here in college basketball every day. So that continues on, whether there are shows here or not. Just some quick reminders, though, before we get started. What all this is about is built off of models that I built starting in 2020. They're player-based. I call those models sidelines. So when you hear me say sideline says, it's what, the model that I've built. No different than any of the other models that you see for things. In college football, you've got something like SP Plus, or college basketball, obviously, your Ken Palms and many others out there like him and myself who've come up with other models. And so again, sideline is just the name of. These are predictive and forward-facing models where higher is better for offense, lower is better for defense. The pick grades are based on the probabilistic edge at the time of the post. A's are loves, B's are likes, C's are lanes. And again, if you want more, Trent has all the information, all the model insights, Discord access, where you get access to a lot of other really smart people, great community to be a part of. All that available to you with a link in the show description for $19.99 a month. We really appreciate you that are there with us already, helping us keep the lights on. If you're not there, we would encourage you to check it out if you are enjoying the content that we're providing you, and again, are looking for more insights from the model, more insights from other people, more great picks, including in obviously sports like the NFL and the NBA as well. So we've got everything, and NHL, got all that covered over there on the Discord. So without further ado, we'll start with it. Jake, there is the marquee game of the night. Starts at 9 o'clock. We'll talk about that later. We're going to start off here with what I'm calling the spotlight game, 7:30 p.m. Eastern, Illinois at Ohio State. I'm calling this a spotlight game for a couple of reasons. Number one, we're starting a conference play. It feels really early to do that here in December, but conference game, 2 fairly strong teams according to Sideline top 20. And the reason this is the spotlight game, according to Sideline, this game is set up to be about as good / entertaining / interesting / excited as the Florida UConn game, partially because the total, we're not betting the total, but the total in this game is about 15 points higher than in that one, for good reason. When you look at these teams, both very strong on offense, Ohio State obviously can lack a little something on defense at times. And so we're expecting a lot more points. This should be a lot of fun. So maybe not the marquee game you're thinking of. We'll talk more about that one later, but start off here, what I think might be one of the game to keep an eye on. The game should be fun to watch, entertaining. And again, conference implications here, Illinois at Ohio State, 7:30 p.m. Eastern. We're going to take Ohio State at getting 3.5 as an A grade. Illinois, really, really good, for sure. But Sideline says this is a wrong team favored game, that at Ohio State, they are good enough right now to hang in there with Illinois. Illinois a little banged up right now, Jake. Is that correct?
Yeah, they ran through some little injuries and things. Not everybody's playing at full strength. And then, they just came off the Tennessee game, which was a very physical game. Boswell, he messed his shoulder up a little bit, came back and played. I'm not sure how much that affected him as scoring. His production was way down. Not sure if that is the defense that was playing on him versus it's not his shooting shoulder, but still it's probably uncomfortable out there. And then when that's your main point guard, you don't know how that affects the team. I like this Ohio State pick. I do. I think it's going to be counterintuitive because to what you're going to see most places. Illinois is getting all the love, and everybody wants to remember the Ohio State team that gave up 100 to IUND. But since then,
How
only
could you
one
not?
team has broke. I mean, it's hard to shake that. But since
Yeah.
then, one team broke 70 to them. So I mean, the defense has really come back around. The offense has always been there. A very, very good team. They've got the height and some little bit thicker guys than what Tennessee was throwing at Illinois to kind of slow them down. I also think the way they're just taking care of the ball. They're top 10 in effective field goal percentage, and that means their offense is really working, and they are the best inside the arc. They're number one, almost 66% from inside the arc. So their offense does really good things. Illinois' offense does not force hardly any turnovers. It's not a very high pressure defense. I think, and if you watch the Tennessee game, Tennessee was finding open looks. Illinois' defense is not lockdown defense. I think this Ohio State team will surprise the people hanging in there and has a decent chance to win this one, especially at home.
Yeah, decent value on the money line, and a game that should be high scoring, a lot of fun. Don't know how it'll play out. And again, folks, we always talk about this, right? We can't. Nobody can. So if you're looking for locks, you're never going to find them. Unfortunately, there's no such thing as a lock in sports betting. And other people saying things they can claim whatever. You've been here long enough, folks. We're not going to lie to you like other people would and just say, look, nobody knows what's going to happen. You're looking at a number like this, and we always say your probability of getting this right or wrong is probably somewhere in the 40 to 60% range. And so, again, just as a reminder, we want to make sure that we love your comments. We want to hear what you think. We want to hear where you agree or disagree. But our comments should be more on, hey, you guys think this is more in the 55%. I think it's more in the 45%. And that's totally fine. But I want to make sure that we all are clear on that we're arguing about 10 percentage points, not 80. Right? There's no, this is going to happen. There's no, unfortunately, the game, we're almost 24 hours out from it now. We can't say with certainty, nobody can, or what'll happen, but we will say there's a possibility that it's 45 instead of 55. We just see this as more 55% winner, and that more times than not, Ohio State hangs in there, keeps this interesting. And then with college kids and basketball, you never know how the ending goes. So hopefully Ohio State can just get a lead, win by 8, no big deal. Right?
Yeah.
But with
Go
these
home
close
out, yeah.
games, yeah, you just never know. It's a lot about sample size. It's all about finding good edges over the long run, building it up, and just saying, "Hey, we're going to win more than we lose." And that's kind of what we're hoping here. So far in our spotlight games on the season, 6-6. So Jake, hopefully we can get this one to the window here and get us back above 500. Reminder of all the great information you can get on Patreon. Gives you all sorts of pace, efficiency, probabilities, thresholds, all sorts of great stuff there. Again, as we're projecting a game here around 160 points, should be a lot of fun. And we think Ohio State got a chance to win, 55% chance of winning, according to the model. So good value on the money line, and good value getting the 3.5 for our best not side, our best B not side, our best B total, right? B side. Like think about, how long is that joke going to play for, Jake? B side being a musical thing. I feel like we're running out of time.
Yeah, I don't know that anybody younger than us is really going to get it.
I was thinking about that the youths are probably not catching the allusion I'm making to B-sides. I think that
What is the cassette tape? Is the last things that had B-sides?
yeah, that sounds right. That sounds right. Because with CDs, you started making a second disc.
Yeah. Yeah, that's dating ourselves. That's good. Love that.
Someone drop a comment about what your first 8-track you bought was, or something like that, or your first cassette. Or let's get some fun here with some old people. You new kids, maybe you're the first song you download. I don't know. Closer to BYU, the undercard for Madison Square Garden. We're going to go under 152.5 is B grade. Sideline says 148. So model says more in the upper 140s rather than the lower 150s. BYU the better team. They are favored as they should be. But this one really comes down to the pace. BYU, pretty average. Better offensive defense. Moves a little fast. Wants to score a few points. Absolutely. But Clemson, on the other hand, is an extreme slow it down team. And we think there's just enough slowdown from Clemson to keep us in the 140s and get into the 150s. It's really that simple. Obviously, anything can happen. We hope both these teams go cold. We land more in the 120s or 130s. That's possible. Teams can get hot. It lands in the 160s or 170s. But the reality is, team probably lands in the 140s or 150s. We just think more likely to be 140s than 150s. And for me, it's about the pace. Jake, what's it about for you?
Yeah, it's pace. And then you also have like BYU's shooting is not that great. It doesn't really like the 3 ball that much. I mean, he's a great player. It just doesn't seem to be a favorite tool in his bag. So it's very easy for this BYU team to have a stretch to go, not scoreless, but just a bunch of ones and twos, rather than three balls, and their defense kind of ebbs and flows. Like it can really lock in, and I think the Kibikita and some of the like having Kendrick Davis back, this BYU team can really lock in on the defensive end where Alabama couldn't. And like that's I think that game is kind of pushing this total up a bit because you had Alabama A&M with Clemson and they put up 92 and then 90-84 loss for Clemson and Alabama. So I think that pushed this total up, making everybody believe Clemson is playing a little bit faster, a little more offensive oriented. It's not necessarily the case. They're still really slow. That game got way out of hand, and they had to do something crazy to get back in the Alabama game, and they did. They got back in it, made it respectable, but that is not at all what Clemson wants to do. They want to slow it down, make you take all the time in the world on offense, and like BYU is a better team. It's not a doubt of there. I just don't know that the point total is going to get to where it's supposed to. I think we are looking at a very slowed down half court offense kind of game. I don't know that either team's going to force a bunch of turnovers or commit a bunch of them to speed this game up. And BYU will have a couple runs where they'll put up 6 or 7 real quick, but then there will be several runs where it takes 2 minutes to get 6 points on the board.
Interesting enough, BYU has gone under more than they've gone over this year. Clemson's gone over more than under, but I think kind of as you mentioned a few of them here. It's been a couple of weird situations here. I mean, they've still had a lot of games land in the 130s and 140s. It's not like they're a fast team. And it's not like they're trying to drive it over. At least I don't think so. It's the Alabama game you mentioned. It got weird. The Georgia game just got drunk. But then the West Virginia game didn't get to 140. Some of the previous games before that, the highest, they got in the low 150s a couple times. But that's really the highest they've been. And that's where it's like, that's where I think this is. They're mostly a team that's playing in the 130s, 140s, and maybe into the 150s. And that's kind of what I see happening. But I'm like you, I think you look at that Georgia game and the Alabama game specifically, I think people are like, oh, let's boost this up a little bit, thinking it's going to be more likely to get into the 150, maybe 160s. And again, not to say it can't. But when you just look at what's happening here, it's like, I just think it's more likely that they're a team that's more going to keep these in the 140s, 130s, and maybe sneak towards 150. But it's just, there's not really a lot of evidence. I think when you look at the totality, this is what they want to do. Doesn't mean it will happen. That's what they want to. They want to slow it down. And so we hope they will do that there in Madison Square Garden. Also at 6:30 p.m. Eastern, our A-plus side of the day, Michigan hosting Villanova. We're really at a 15.5 with the Wolverines. Michigan's number one in, I think, everybody's ratings that I've seen at this point. Maybe not all, might be one or two that they're hanging out on, but a lot of places have Michigan up there at number one. Jake, I don't know about you, kind of surprising a little bit. I feel like they kind of stuck under my radar. We were talking about the Dukes of the world and the Purdues and the Alabamas and, BYU and this guy's coming back, all these things. And Michigan, all of a sudden, they started off looking really good and just kind of had it stopped, I guess. We've got a very interesting battle of pace here. Michigan wants to play fast. Villanova doesn't. We're not really worried about that. We're more worried about the fact that Villanova's defense is terrible. They should give up a lot of points, and Michigan's defense is insanely. Michigan's been, kicking a lot of tail, taking a lot of names. And we think that'll continue here. Jake, tell us more.
Yeah, like, don't pat myself on the back here. I was all over this Michigan team in the offseason. It was my pick to win the Big Ten. I think the length on this team is causing everybody issues. They are very long. Also think Hubert Davis was doing a terrible thing with Elliott Cadeau, and Dusty May is unlocking him, and you're seeing the couple of games he's had. He's gone back to that North Carolina Elliott Cadeau with a bunch of turnovers, but he's been an excellent point guard this year. And there's just shooting all over the place. They're fantastic. I don't know. Like the turnover issue is about the only thing you can point at, and that's really if Elliott Cadeau is doing old Elliott Cadeau, if he's playing like he has been defensively. Like I said, the length between Mara and Axenberg and Cheddar and everybody they're bringing off the bench, they are just long, and it allows their guards to play up in your face and make you turn the ball over. And you see they hang crooked numbers. I mean, 15 feels shy on this, way shy. I mean, they're demolishing teams right now. What they've played 3 games at 40, 40 and 4. The last 4 have all been 30 plus. Like it's unreal. I don't know that I've ever seen this.
Their last 4 games, all against real teams, by the way. At San Diego State, won by 40. At Auburn, won by 30. Gonzaga won by 40, and then Rutgers won by 41. It's not like they're playing, North Alabama. They're not playing Mississippi Valley. They're not playing Coppin State. They're not playing. Some real
Gonzaga
teams
just dismantled Kentucky in Nashville.
Would Michigan beat Kentucky by 100? I guess is the question we have to ask ourselves.
I mean, that's a transfer of property, right? Like it's unreal what is happening. And like I said, I don't know that I've ever seen a 4-game stretch of anybody like this dominant. It's unreal. I don't think Villanova has a chance in the world to, one, slow the pace down. They're already going to be playing at a disadvantage because they're going to be playing at Michigan's pace. That's going to kill what they like to do on offense. They also do big part of their offense has been their offensive rebounding. Don't think that's really going to happen here. You're also got rookie point guards coming in, and that's not good against this defense. And Villanova is, I believe, there's 364 teams total. Yeah. So they're ranking 300 and guarding the 3-point arc. It's not good.
It's not good.
That's going to hurt real bad. And I think that's why this game gets. I would almost push this line out to 25. I think it's going to get ugly quick.
I mean, Sideline has it at 22.5, so it definitely is much closer to where you were thinking this one is. Villanova's a very impressive 7-1, and they've covered 6 times this season, but
they've done better than expected. Like Willard is a great coach. He's doing well with not like a full recruiting cycle here. So if you're a Villanova fan, you got to be feeling good about what your team's doing. It's just maybe watch and put a piece of tape at the bottom so you don't see the scoreboard, because I think it's going to get real bad, but you don't want it to ruin the taste that's in the season.
I think so too. Michigan's had 1 game all season that they didn't either cover or come within a bucket, basically, of covering. That was at Wake Forest game, second game of the season. They were home favorites by about 15, so same number. And they only won by 1. Jake, I'll let you opine if you have anything you want to add. My quick take on that would be the total in that game was set at 168. So we went into that game expecting Wake to try to play fast, to want to try to get into a track meet and see what happens. The game technically went over, got to 169. The total for the Villanova-Michigan game is 149. So we're going into this one thinking it's not going to be like that Wake game, right? That Wake game we went in thinking it would be high scoring, anything can happen. And yeah, Michigan might win by 30, but there's going to be a lot of possessions and Wake can get hot. Who knows, right? Villanova's going to have to do it a different way. So I'm not saying they can't do it, but I just want to point out people who look at this say, oh, well, Michigan was a 15-point home favorite previously and didn't even sniff the cover. And I say, the only thing is that whatever Wake figured out, I don't think that's not what Villanova's going to do. If Villanova's going to do it, they're going to have to find a totally new way to do that. And Jake, I don't know what your thoughts are. I'll let you have the last word here. But my thought is, teams that are number 1 like this tend to not have multiple ways to get beaten like that. There's one kind of thing you can get out of one weakness. I don't know how Villanova's going to find a different way than Wake did to do the same thing, given how good this Michigan team is.
No, I mean, Wake played out of their mind that game. I mean, Wake Forest has also shown us that they're not as bad as what we thought coming into the year. And this is the first flash in the pan that they showed it. Michigan was not a great shooting night, 4-25 from 3. So there's a lot of factors in here. But what really stood out was they made the right plays at the right time and won this game by 1. You had Lindenberg was 1 of 7 from deep. Burnett and Rod Gale and all them. Nobody was shooting well, other main shooters. I think that was a perfect storm of events. And Wake Forest, to their credit, took advantage of it and should have won that game and just dropped the ball at the last minute. And you can't and that just proves with Michigan, you can't make those kind of mistakes. You can't let them breathe. And Villanova already at a disadvantage going to end up playing Michigan's pace. I don't know that they stay in this game very long.
Yeah, well said. Jake, we're gonna wrap up here our last game, the A grade for the road. Before we get this one, we did promise people we would talk Florida, UConn briefly, but we do already have discussion of this happening on Discord. There's other people talking about this game. We don't have an official model pick for you on this, but again, if you're looking for more insights on these things from Jake, from myself, from other people, from people who know college basketball better than I do, for sure. I'm just a math nerd who built the model. Discord's a place to be, so check out that link. to get the Patreon in the show description. What do you want to say about Florida UConn? No official pick, but give your spiel on it. Model would lean Florida for what it's worth. I think we're both a little bit about that, and then we'll cover our final game here at the A grade for the Rhode.
Look, I'm not a huge UConn fan by any stretch. I don't think they're necessarily playing that well, but there's obviously the chance that Reed plays, and that changes things defensively in depth. He's not a big scorer. With Mullins coming on and looking good, UConn looks like they could be very dangerous. But Florida, man, the guard play is so bad. And that's why I can't trust anything with Florida, because Xavier Lee has not been anything. Like, he was a very prized get out of the portal for Golden, and everybody's like, oh, this is a great move. He has been garbage this year. Boogie Fland has been kind of a yo-yo, but a lot more down than up. He finished the second half of the Duke game incredible, but until he does it two halves in a row, I'm not going to believe it. They're not. I mean, Thomas Hoff, however you say his name, incredible. He's the only bright spot on Florida right now, because it's just Florida. The talent is there. If you wanted to play Florida, I'm with you. It's fine. I can understand the logic, because at some point that talent is going to play up to that level and they're going to do well, but they haven't shown any of it right now, and that's why I can't trust them whatsoever.
These two teams are combined 5-12 against the spread, Jake. That's surprising to me that it's that bad. Obviously, they're combined 13-4 overall, so the winning games are just not really meeting expectations. They're also a combined 4-11-2, as according to covers.com. So those two pushes could have been 1-2 losses easily. So a lot of unders between these two teams. So not, I'm not saying bet the under, but I'm just looking at what they're doing. I don't know. It kind of feels like an under or pass type spot for me there, just how these teams are just not really scoring very well, which kind of goes to, I think, what you're saying with Florida and their guard play. A lot of times we've seen teams here in this era of college basketball, if your guard play struggles, a lot of times your scoring struggles. So
it's weird, because I mean, if I want to pat my back for the Michigan thing, I was also thinking Florida was going to be a top tier team, a good chance to repeat, and that seems far from the truth right now.
It's a long season. You got time to be redeemed on that one, at least.
Yeah, they're just plummeting down the ratings in every which way. Nothing's working out good for them.
Yeah. McNeese State at Rhode Island here. Our final pick, the A grade for the Rhode. We're taking the Rhode team here. McNeese State, a Rhode dog, slight Rhode dog, -1.5. One is the least common outcome in basketball. So if you want to lay the money line, lay some odds, go for it. I think in general, my advice on to people, mostly just have rules, have a system, be consistent. Do whatever makes you feel better. It's kind of like, hitting a 16 out of 10 at the blackjack table. You're slightly plus EV, more so if you do it than not, but you're kind of hosed either way. Just do something to stick with it and come up with your rules in your system, because otherwise you're going to beat yourself up and you're going to have regrets. And these are things that sports betting's hard enough. It's hard enough of a mental grind. And so we don't need more of that. So I just have a strategy to stick with it. We're like the 1.5 as our rules here, dictate, so that we can keep our shit into here. A grade. So I think it says we might average of 4. A much better team, according to Sideline. Jake, we've loved backing McNeese State in the past few years. Obviously, new coach. And so I haven't seen a lot of them this year, but the model really seems to like what they've done and really thinks that even though Will Wade has moved on, thinks that they're in good hands going forward. It's still a really good team. A team that, look at number 58 overall, you're 58 in December, you got a chance at an at-large bid. You got a chance at, kind of like they did last year, winning the conference and being not a 14 seed, being a 12 seed, maybe even 11 seed type thing, with the way that they're, if they can meet the the expectations the model is setting for. Model really loves what they're doing. What's your take on it?
Yeah, I'm not that high on them, saying 2 to 11 seed, but it wouldn't shock me. I think the talent's there. I think they've got a couple issues that will prevent that, but those issues shouldn't show their head here, because everything that Rhode Island wants to do and does well, McNeese State does the same and just a little bit better. The biggest one is the turnovers. McNeese State really takes care of the ball. Compared to Rhode Island, really takes care of the ball to the tune of 4 or 5 turnovers a game, and that's easy enough to swing a 1-point spread or 2-point spread, however you want, whatever number you're getting. 4 or 5 extra possessions, 4 or 5 extra shots. Good thing is you don't really have to worry about the 3 ball going in, so that's fun. But also, the best thing McNeese State does is force turnovers. They're number 2 in the nation right now, the turnover percentage. So I think that turnover margin is going to be a bit bigger than just what the averages say, and I think those extra shots. Giving the better team extra shots and extra possessions is a terrible way to try to win a game. So I just think McNeese State's just better and does everything Rhode Island wants to do just a bit better.
McNeese getting back on track here in their last game against Northwestern State, where they won by 40. Their previous game was their first hiccup in a month. They were 10.5-point favorites at Incarnate Word and lost that one. And that sort of thing is going to be the one that hurts their possibility for an at-large bid, of course. When I say here on screen title as number 58, that's not a resume. That's where we think we are. And of course, you get a determined based off your resume. So you think of that Incarnate Word, they can't afford things like that. They're going to have to not do that again. If they want that at-large bid, or if they want that better premium seed, should they win the tournament, which they'll, of course, be big favorites on it. But, going back before that, they'd covered 4 straight. They played a D2 team that they beat by 82. And before that, they opened the season with a loss as an underdog at Santa Clara. That one's acceptable more so. The Incarnate Word one was a tough one. But they really bounced back, like I said, this last game and showed, got back and going in the right direction. And that's kind of what we're looking for here. Is this is another game that on the road like this, if you have any desire for an at-large seed to be a team that, like I said, last year they were the 12. If they want that 11 seed, 12 seed type thing again, because you don't want to be that, you don't want to be a 13. You really don't want to be a 14, right? And if you want that 11 seed, 12 seed ability to play a team that you can win, these are the type of games you need. And so great opportunity here for McNeese. Hopefully they can keep that rolling after that disappointing game 2 games ago and do more like they did that last game and, return to their dominant selves that they can, of course. Thank you so much for watching. You can get more picks on Patreon, one free one for you most every day. You can get all the picks by themselves for just $9.99 a month, or you can get all the model information, all of the picks, sides, and totals for every single game graded, and of course the Discord chat and more for $19.99 a month. Link in the show description. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Jake, parting words before we head back into college basketball here in early December.
Look, hey, now that we know our national champion is in the top 12 of the AP, because that's the way it's worked for the last 25 years, I'm feeling pretty good about my Final Four picks. All 4 of them are in there, and my champion's in there. So I'm doing good. I'm sure nothing else will ever go terribly wrong and break that streak ever. It's perfect and will never break.
So Jake, we were in Texas last week, and so we didn't experience the cold weather. I don't know where everybody else who's watching where you are, of course, in the country, but it got cold here last week in Indiana. We just got back this weekend, and it was cold today. And you're talking about March, and I'm having a hard time here. Just cold. March feels like ages away, but it'll be here before we know it. Of course, that's the way it always is. The season's such a sprint.
Yeah, well, that AP poll thing, it just makes no sense to me. Why week 6 AP poll versus week 5 or week 7, the top 12, the national champion's been in there in the top like last 23 years or something crazy.
Well,
because as much as I hate the AP poll voters, like, it makes no sense that those group of dummies have been getting it right
this
for as many years.
In an upper level regression course that I would teach, we would spend an entire day on what you just discussed right there, and that is what we call model overfitting. That is a key. And that's why, folks, no more picks. If you want to turn it off, that's fine. If you want to continue to listen to us here, hopefully I think this is insightful for you. But one of the reasons why you want to make sure you're in the right hands with someone who's building a model, not to say there aren't other great models out there, and there aren't a lot of great people, a lot of smart people, but not everybody is. And the training that you need in order to be trusted to do what I do is important, because that's one of the things that they're model overfitting, right? Making sure that you build a model that doesn't come up with something that looks too good to be true, because it usually, when we overfit, is not predictive going forward. And so I think that would be the lesson there, is that it's the fact that it hasn't happened for week 5 or 7 or 8 or whatever else like that tells you it's just random, and you found a random trend, and that doesn't mean it won't continue. It just doesn't mean it will. And so we spend a whole hour on this, and if you get a minor even or a degree in statistics. So great learnings. We'll drop some more nuggets like that from time to time here. Hopefully we always say we want you to be smarter bettors, right? And not to be, we always talk about things that don't be fooled by the trends. They're fun to look at like that, but that doesn't necessarily mean we should be investing our money in them, right? So obviously a fun thing to joke about, but a good point to remind us of. We make sure we build our models to not do that sort of stuff, right? We have better standards and morals than that. All right, well, that's all we got then for you today. Again, thanks for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe. And as always, even though it has been a while, we do want to remind you about responsible betting. And so we always say you can eat your betting money, but please don't bet your eating money.